Hello all, and welcome to our brand new daily show, The Big Story, where we bring you the hottest topics of the day right here from the heart of the newsroom. My name is Alyssa Wu and I'm from the Straits Times, and we are coming to you live, and we are streaming, yes, live on Facebook and YouTube. So do like, comment and share that video and click that bell button if you'd like to be notified whenever we go live. I will be joined by my newsroom colleagues very soon, and we'll discuss the stories that got you talking today. Now, we're all familiar with the US-China trade war. Last September, the United States and China both imposed tariffs on each other. Then on May 10, the US raised the tariffs from 10% to 25%, covering a wider range of goods, including consumer goods and food, and has since threatened tariffs on more products. With the US as its largest investor and China as its biggest trading partner, Singapore is indirectly hit by these tariffs. Now, I have here with me my colleagues, business journalist Suen Tan, hi Suen, and senior correspondent Tan Elin to tell us more about the situation. Okay, so I want to know, how have the tariffs affected Singapore's economy and what sectors are the worst hit? Maybe Elin?
Well, the Singapore companies that are affected would be manufacturers which export high value intermediate products to China for processing and then eventually destined for the US. They would also be companies with factories in China and then with goods that are destined for the US. So both these classes would face tariffs of 25%. So these companies are hit. We've been hearing from the industry that between some companies are reporting a fall in orders of about 20 to 30%.
And are these companies within, correct me if I'm wrong, within the engineering sector and the electronics sector?
Yes,
perhaps?
yes.
Just these two, no other sectors?
No, I think that there could be, but these two sectors are most heavily hit. These are the precision engineering sector output. These are companies that have technology and machines to make very complex parts for industries like aerospace, offshore marine, semiconductors and so on, and then also the electronics sector. So these two exports we've been seeing quite a
hard
fall.
Hit, right?
Yes.
So let's say we have viewers here who are working in those sectors, in those trade sectors. How will their day-to-day be affected? Will their jobs be affected by any chance? Is it too early to say?
Yeah. Well, actually, we've been hearing. In fact, I've seen cases. People telling me that wages are going to be cut, and that perhaps we're going to be seeing job losses.
Okay, but let's hope not so soon. Let's hope not so soon. Now, Suen, what consumer items can I expect to pay more for since that they've slapped the tariffs on a wider range of goods?
So I think firstly it's important to note that these price changes are all indirect because we are a third country outside Singapore, outside the US and China, so we are not directly slapped by these tariffs. But when the global prices of a consumer item like pork rises, then Singaporeans are affected. So say China is one of the biggest exporters of pork to the world, so when they export it to the US, that is when the tariffs will be slapped on it, and then the global prices of pork may rise. So those that enjoy their bak kwa might find that they might be paying higher prices.
So Chinese New Year, you know already, set aside a bigger budget for your bak kwa.
You might have to do that.
Yeah.
And another thing is also electronics, because the parts are all manufactured in different parts of the world. So for example, the OLED screen that you have on your Apple iPhone and actually many other electronic products, the screen might have a tariff slapped on it when it is exported to the US. So for example, if the phone costs about $200 before, then if the screen is $50 more expensive with the tariffs, you might have to fork out another $50 for your iPhone. But these are all hypothetical examples which the economists are just giving anecdotal evidence for, because as we know, nothing is yet set in stone. So if the supply chains have moved, then the prices might not actually be affected. So some economists have said that prices might actually go down because the China suppliers or even the US suppliers are trying to clear stock, and so it might be exported to the rest of the region at a cheaper rate. So that is when we might see a deflationary effect on prices instead of the prices going up.
Okay, so it may not be exactly doom and gloom completely, right? So is there a silver lining in all of this for Singapore and the Southeast Asia region?
So definitely, businesses have actually said that they have seen US suppliers moving towards Southeast Asia and even to Singapore businesses. So some furniture suppliers say that they have seen more business from the US side because now they cannot source from China. And the region is also set to grow because when the businesses start looking towards Southeast Asia, like Vietnam and Cambodia, and they relocate their supply chains there, Singapore can be a hub for these US companies. So they can actually set up their headquarters here, which provides jobs and employment prospects. And it also helps the banks because then they'll look to the banks for more funding and for investments. So Singapore is actually quite well positioned in this case. So that is the silver lining, I think.
Okay, and that was like a chain reaction, right? Impact one, impact the other.
Yes.
Now, Elin, how long do you think this trade war will last? And so Suen mentioned earlier that they could companies could always move their manufacturing plants, their factories to another country. But we know that it's not that easy. It's easier said than done, right?
Yes. Because these are huge, they could be very huge operations, right? I mean, how do you actually shift your entire manufacturing base from one country to another? Your machinery and all not only that, but how do you get your skilled workers, right? Because, China is known for its skilled workers. So it may not be so easily done. It probably will take time. So which is why I think people are watching and waiting and seeing what will be the outcome.
And they are waiting and seeing because we don't know what Trump is going to do next, right? And you mentioned that US has seen strong economic performance in the past year, and actually they're not that affected by these tariffs.
Yes. Yes. The thing is, all of this is happening at a time when the US is doing very strongly economically. Despite this whole 1 year in 2018, all these disturbances, for the US, the GDP growth actually surpassed Trump's own forecast or target, at 3.1%. So, and jobs are rising in the US and real wages are also growing, maybe modestly. So Trump probably feels quite confident that, whatever he's trying to do, maybe he could inflict maximum damage, on the adversary, but get away with as little damage as possible.
And it's a good thing for him because elections are coming up for him next year, the US elections, right?
Yes.
So it could work in his favor.
Yes. I mean, he could be, flexing his muscles. It could be all, part of it, which is why there are two schools of thought. On one side, people are saying, is this just one episode of the toing and froing that we've been seeing since last year? In which case it will possibly come to an end, even temporarily, if and when China backs down. Or could it be part of a bigger plan to curb China's rise? After all, we're not just seeing this trade war. It's increasing. I mean, it seems to be expanding because Trump has now banned Huawei and its affiliates from getting raw materials, essential raw materials from US producers. And he might even extend this ban on these Chinese video surveillance companies. So it seems larger than we initially thought.
So, I mean, if we look at it in a political context, it certainly gives us a fuller picture of this trade war.
Yes, I mean, it's really something for us to watch. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Elin and Suen, for sharing on this trade war. I definitely have a better understanding of it. Now, long waiting list for preschool places will soon be shortened. That's because by 2021, NTUC First Campus will increase the total number of places across its brands to 24,000. Meanwhile, the country's largest preschool operator, PCS Sparkle Tots, previously said that it will have 38 early year centres up and running by 2021 as well. So I have here with me our preschool scene in Singapore and the demand for it. Why that demand despite our falling birth rate? So last year was our worst ever fertility rate, I understand.
Yeah, okay, so yes, there are falling birth rates and the birth cohorts are generally smaller, but the demand for preschool places, especially in the childcare sector hasn't really gone down. So, in fact, there are shortages in the new towns like Sengkang and Punggol where the young families are. And our parents are sending their children to school at a younger age.
And how young is young?
So as young as a few months old, after when they're born, the parents are nowadays are dual income, so they need to go back to work. And with no, caregivers, grandparents are also a bit older nowadays. So the parents find that the best place for them to put their kids in is school.
So that is one aspect, because both are working parents, right? But there are also some parents, they believe that you should start your children's education, start your child's education when they're as young as possible. Is it because they're like a sponge, they absorb everything?
Yeah, so actually there's been a lot of research, especially in the formative years of a child's development, which is from 0 to 4 years old, the first 4 years of a child's life. And this growing awareness of what early childhood education can do in a child's life is making parents more aware of why school is important for their kids and especially in those early years.
Now, our NTUC Secretary General, Ng Chee Ming, when he was previously the Education Minister, he did say in his speech in Parliament, he said that he would do his best to provide a level playing field as possible for all children, right, regardless of social status, their income levels, their race or religion. So now, when he says level playing field, how then do the programs and the facilities compare to private preschools?
Yeah, so there has been this perception of a difference, gap in quality between private preschools and public preschools, those that are run by the government. So, and for different reasons, I guess. So part of it is branding of some of the private preschools. Some of them charge quite a premium fee that can go up to more than $1,000 a month. And some of these schools also have bigger facilities, more space, a better environment for play, for learning, smaller classes, more teachers, and so parents believe that with all these factors, these private preschools should serve them better.
However, NTUC, they are doing their best as well, right? So these mega preschools, especially the one that officially opened yesterday in Punggol, my first school, that one actually looks quite nice.
Yeah, so
maybe you can tell us about the facilities there.
So some of these centres, they're known as early year centres. It's an initiative that was announced in 2017, and it's supposed to be mega preschools that serve more than 1,000 children. And these schools, they're supposed to focus on the early years. So as the name suggests, early years from 0 to 4. So as young as a few months old. And the difference is that in these schools, you have more customized facilities. So you have a different, for instance, a PCF center that I visited a month ago, when they officially opened as well. It has different play areas for 3 different age groups. So for infants, for toddlers, and for children up to 4 years old. And that means they have different sections for play, more customized kind of facilities artificial turf and gentler slopes for crawling for the younger infants, but for the older ones, toddlers and the older children, they get a playground that is has more uneven range, has a balancing beam, has an outdoor cooking area, things that will interest them more. So I mean the hope is that they will be able to access different opportunities that's appropriate for them as they grow, and not have to to share the few month old one sharing with a 6-year-old.
Now, as a young mother yourself, were you impressed by these facilities, and would you put you have a son, a young son, how old is he?
He is 2.5.
2.5, and will you put your son in one of these preschools, or you've already decided which preschool he'll be going to?
I must say it was quite tempting when I visited the PCF preschool, because it's unlike what you think it is. PCF, you think of it as a void deck preschool, but this one was in Punggol North, and it's a mega preschool. So it was really big. It has 4 to 5 stories or even more, I can't remember. And it's open, it's spacious, not like the ones you find at the void decks. And but so there's not always the private and public split as well. You know, different parents have different standards, and for some it's about values. And so I guess for my son, he will go to school in July, and he will likely be, he will be going to a church kindergarten, which is in line with what we want him to grow up in the environment and to have certain values that we think are important for him.
Thank you so much, Amelia. And also, certainly, there's nothing wrong with void deck preschools.
Yes,
preschools that are at void deck. It's just the location.
Yeah,
it's just it's convenient. Thank you so much, Amelia. Now, that's all we have for you for today's big story. For more news and videos, do log on to straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Alyssa. Join us again same time next Monday for more big story.